In anticipation of National Veterans Small Business Week, Lisa suggested that we do something special. Together, we created the Veterans Helping Veterans Business Anthology Group. It's been a great success. We networked, collaborated, conducted interviews, and wrote a book. During this journey, Lisa and I had the pleasure of meeting numerous entrepreneurs and business leaders with backgrounds in the military veteran and military spouse community. We carefully selected 20 contributors at various stages of their business endeavors, from ideation to well-established enterprises. We engaged in insightful conversations, the highlights of which are shared in our new book, We Are Stronger Together, Strength in Diversity. In addition to these interviews and our contributors' lessons learned, inside the book, Lisa and I also provided practical information and tons of resources to help others in their entrepreneurial pursuits. Remember to grab your copy of the book on Amazon to meet all the contributors, authors Lisa DeShorm and myself. Are you ready to get a glimpse of what it takes to be a veteran business owner? Take a listen. Welcome to Talk to Me. I'm happy today to have a very special guest, one of the many Veterans Helping Veterans authors for the Business Anthology. Today, my guest, Desiree Broussard, is here, the owner and founder of Elevating Etiquette. She's also a serving member of the Nevada National Guard. I'm excited to have her here because we are going to be talking everything etiquette. It's important to know that my guest believes that respect and awareness are important. So we're going to have a conversation about what you should and should not do. Desiree, welcome to the show. How are you today?
Good morning. Thank you so much. I'm doing great. Thank you for having me.
You know, when I first saw what your business was all about, I was intrigued because I remember as a young student in middle school taking an etiquette class where I learned which fork goes where and the place. And I was so happy when I learned how to set the table setting for the first time, because that was something new to me, because it wasn't something that we did often at home. And we also did a class called Miss Manners. So this is something near and dear to my heart, because I don't think in our fast-paced world with everybody coming and going, and also the shutdown that we recently have had to go through, that we're really paying attention to how we treat each other. So what you do is so very vital and important for our ability to respect and enjoy each other's company. So could you tell us what got you started in the etiquette field?
Absolutely. So as with a lot of people, it's a combination of things. It's not just one thing that generates an idea or a path that you have. But for me, that combination was growing up in a military environment. Number one, my mother was from Scotland. My dad is from Louisiana. I traveled, I lived internationally. I went to British school. My mother made us set the table the proper way, and then when I went into the military, unintentionally, I started the position of protocol and went and deployed doing protocol and worked four-star level protocol and international affairs and working with embassies. And bouncing back a little bit into that, I did the hospitality industry before I even went in the military. So I did a lot of catering and bartending and manager and everything that you could do, and then adding in that protocol piece. And through that time frame, I learned it's all about diplomacy, respect, and awareness. Mm-hmm. You really have to learn how to communicate, be respectful to everybody from the most junior of ranks all the way up to the most senior, and make your international and your high-level guests and all your guests coming into commands feel comfortable. And protocol became a full-blown profession, and I did it floating through the military and federal service career. About 10 years ago, I started teaching protocol classes, which included etiquette. And what I found is that the young generation, I had young officers and mid-level NCOs, they looked like they were uncomfortable. They looked rude. Something was not right. And so when I started teaching these classes, what I realized is they're not rude at all. They were just uncomfortable and they didn't know how to interact. And we think that with military training that we all know how to do everything properly, but the truth is that we're trained in our specialties, right? Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden we're taken and we're moved next to very high level folks. And there's an intimidation factor, and each of us, I think, goes through that. So when I started teaching those protocol classes and tying in that dining etiquette piece, which is not just about how you hold your knife and your fork, it's also about communication, how you should speak, when you should speak, the things you should speak about, when to sit down, when to start, when to end, when to read nonverbal cues of your leadership and those around you to make sure everybody feels comfortable. So that's how it started. So it was my background, it was my family, how I was raised, as well as the hospitality industry, and then my military that brought all those things in that led me into teaching. And so that was really, I think, the launch of when I decided I wanted to start a business and teach not just the military community, but the Las Vegas and, the community across the United States about etiquette and why it's important.
So what would you say is your greatest challenge now that you've started this business in getting people to even know that they need etiquette classes?
It's funny because right now, so I've only been in business a few months. It's hard with any business to get that started. In conversations with people, they say, wow, I haven't heard about that in a long time. We really need that. And I think that I really think that there's a general feeling in the United States and in the world right now that there's a lack of respect. And it's really just a lack of awareness and understanding is what I think it is. Like you mentioned, parents don't have the time to teach the same way. Everybody's just, we're moving, we're grooving, we're moving, we're grooving. But I really think it's the communication piece. People need it, but they don't know they need it. And to show them in ways, so it's a lot of networking and interactions. And then when people understand what I do, and I maybe show them why we wear our name tag on the right-hand side, how your eye contact is, how's that handshake. The whole point of etiquette, like you said in the beginning, is respect and awareness. And so when we're doing things right with regards to etiquette, we make the person in front of us feel special, feel respected. We can focus on our conversation or on the event or the visit that we have. And once people know the small things it's like a fine-tuning specialty. When I teach them what it is of why and how I fine-tune, they say, I get it. So the challenge is communicating that, showing them. Once I get a few people in my classes, it starts spreading like wildfire, right? So I had a few people with my test class partners within the community that came out and they said, wow, I had no idea. I had one gentleman say, like he said he would sit at dinner tables and he uses his goatee as a way to kind of think. And I said, but you have to think about it after COVID. Once you're touching your face and then you're reaching out to shake somebody's hand, it changes, right? So your focus is not the conversation. The focus is now germs or it's common. And he said, I didn't even think about it. So communicating that. So that's a challenge of just having those moments of conversation to show people. Once they understand what I do and why I do, they say, I want to send my kids to your class. I want to have another class with some of my friends.
What has been your challenge in view of the pandemic for helping people with their etiquette when people are afraid to touch each other or come in contact? How have you traversed that particular problem?
So I really ran into that problem when I was at the protocol chief at Nellis Air Force Base, and Nellis Air Force Base is really home of the fighter pilot. And it's the Top Gun of the Air Force. It didn't slow down the same way other places did. We still had people coming in for the needs and training of the Air Force. I had my young officers and my young NCOs that would have to go down and greet VIPs, and they didn't know how to interact and handshakes. And what do we do? Because you're greeting high-level dignitaries. And so we had to learn we had to think about, and the etiquette community had to think about, what is the transition? What is right? What is wrong? And it goes back to respect. So respecting everybody's safety and space. So we had to say, hey, if somebody reaches their hand out towards you, you can put your hand over your heart and say, it's a pleasure to meet you. And that's the nice nonverbal way of communicating that I'm not comfortable. Or you can do the elbow, or people did the fist. And those things have changed. Spacing has changed. People wear masks now, and we respect that because we understand they probably have a health concern. And so we respect those boundaries, but we had to learn the nuances of what that brought. And I think it really also helped you teach, when I teach dining etiquette, not to grab the salt and pepper by the top. You're touching the top with your all of those things all of a sudden made a little bit more sense for folks. So those are the things that we came across when the pandemic hit us all.
So realizing that etiquette as we knew it before is so much more than the placement of a fork or a knife surrounding the plates that you're going to use. How hard has it been to get people to understand that etiquette is so much more than a place setting?
It is really what I try to tell people. Etiquette, even when you say the word, in my opinion, it's antiquated. You think of women having tea and everybody all hoity-toity. And so I really am I'm trying to break down those barriers, that it's not that. It's about being your authentic self. It is about nonverbal and verbal communication. So it is Brenda, it's a constant conversation of what it is and what it is not. As soon as people hear that I'm an etiquette consultant and coach, you see them kind of freeze. And I say, okay, relax. It's okay. That's not what this is about. And what I teach people as well is about being a relaxed professional. There's a way to be yourself, be professional, and keep that respect and that etiquette going without being so rigid, because at that high point of being so rigid, you make others uncomfortable, and that defeats the purpose. So it's constant. It is just constant communication and teaching and training. And I'm working that right now in Las Vegas, out and networking and communicating.
Let's switch to some questions about the running of your business. As a new business owner, what has been one of your greatest challenges starting this particular type of business up?
All the things that you don't know. Just, you think you know things. You take business classes and you team up with folks. But then when you are by yourself in your office figuring things out, you think, wow, I really don't know what I'm doing, how to balance these finances. People ask you questions like, how are you going to pay yourself? And I thought, that's a really basic question. I don't know. I haven't thought about that process, but it's learning the processes and also learning who is wasting your time and who is going to make your time more valuable. I have so many people coming at me saying, I want to talk to you about this, this, and this. And I had to learn how to say no, and pick and choose when it's the right fit for you. And as we get older, we always know to trust our gut more. And I've learned to do that in the process. I have a sign that says, if it's not heck yeah, it's heck no. So I use that as my baseline if it doesn't feel right, but learning the processes and learning when it's the right time to say yes and say no.
Have you been able to find mentors for you for this field? And if so, how have they played a role in your success?
Absolutely. So over the years, I've taken different protocol courses, going through to get certifications. I have 3 different certifications. One is a lady that I've been watching that deals mostly with children down in Florida. And she connects everybody with a consultant community. So a lot of people that are starting businesses. Another one was the Protocol School of Washington. It's the only accredited protocol school in DC. They're very connected with the military community. So again, another location for us consultants and graduates to come together, as well as one in St. Louis, the Etiquette Institute that I started with quite a few years ago, about 10 years ago. And I'm still working with the new ownership now and working. So there's different etiquette communities. Etiquette is kind of booming right now.
That's a good thing. How valuable has your military training been for you as a new business owner?
Oh, the military, it creates habits and discipline within us all that really, even when I'm at home, so I stepped away from a pretty big position, kept my part-time Air National Guard position, and all of a sudden I'm open and I can do what I want. But that military structure helps me keep that rhythm and that routine, keep myself physically fit, work on my education, get that routine going, because otherwise your day, as you know, can go by like that and you have done nothing. So my husband would tell people at work, she's still jobbing. I'd say, because this is more work than I've known personally, even though, I've been busy for my entire career, but this is a different kind of busy. So that military really helps keep that discipline within you. It's a habit, it's way beyond motivation. It's a habit that we build.
How have you decided to structure your business? Is it online courses, in person, or combination? And tell us a little bit about that.
I prefer in person. People keep asking me to do modules online. I'm not ready for that yet. Okay. I think technology is the thing that is kind of geared us towards needing more etiquette training, and that interpersonal, it changes when you get face to face. Even though you and I are speaking right now, if you and I are in the same room, the vibe, the energy is just different. And I might unintentionally insult you not knowing by doing certain things, and you don't know that until you're in person and practicing. we can think all we want, we can speak all we want, but when we interact and do that handshake incorrectly or eye contact isn't correct, it changes what that interaction is and what that communication and message is. I prefer in person, and that's the way I plan to move forward for quite some time. Eventually, I think I'll probably do training models, so people that don't have a lot of time, but right now it's in person.
Now, is your classes geared towards children, teenagers, young adults, older people?
People have been asking me about teaching children, but my ideal candidates and the ones that I really resonate with a lot are the young professionals, the ones that have had the education and the training, but they haven't had the experience, or they're new managers and they don't know how to navigate that environment. So it's college students, it's college graduates, it's new managers, it's transitioning veterans even to learn how to navigate and interact properly with business people and networking. So it's that range. I'd say like the 20 to 40-year-old range where you're in that work environment and you're really trying to up your game professionally and even personally. It helps you personally.
That's good. There's so much that we could talk about this, but right now I'm going to do some questions to get to know you. So
Okay.
I have some picked out for you. Okay. It says, what is a time you've learned something from a failure?
When do you not learn from your failures? Let's see. I've ruined I don't want to say I've ruined, but I've gotten into events where I completely lost control of an event, and you realize that you should have paid attention more in the beginning stages. You think everything's good, but you don't. So it's preparation is key to everything. So when you lose full on control and you can feel and your face is getting hot, the sweat is running down and everything is just losing control around you. And I don't have an event that's popping into my head just right now because I've worked many of those events and high level events. But those are the moments, if you allow that fear to just kind of pass through you and just watch what's happening and learn from it, that I always tell people when I teach them protocol or when I teach them etiquette, anything that I'm teaching you that I do really well right now, I guarantee you I messed it up.
Isn't that the truth?
I learned the hardest way, but it made me one of the strongest protocol officers, and it's made me strong in that etiquette field that I'm able to make people feel comfortable because I say, it's okay. It's not the end of the world.
Oh, that's good. How about this one? What is one of your favorite topics of conversation?
Etiquette.
I knew that was going to be an easy one.
Okay, etiquette, but we've talked about that. But also, I think the other thing for me is fitness. I'm a runner. I really fight to create, when we talked about the habits and the discipline from the military, but being physically fit allows us all to be more mentally fit. It's all connected. And I know that I do my best when I am physically and mentally healthy, and we struggle. So in this year that I left my other position, started this business, my whole routine changed. And I live in Vegas and people want to visit all the time. And what comes with visits is food and drinking and having a good time. And so it's hard to keep those routine. And I had to let myself physically expand a little bit, but then come back to that routine. So even when I'm struggling through those kinds of moments and those visits, I'm still out there, even if I just get a mile in for the day, I get my 5 to 6 days a week of exercise in, and I do my best to eat right the majority of the week. And that is always a great topic of conversation because I think people think it's motivation, and it really, when it comes to physical fitness, it's habit. So I work out in the morning. There's not much that stops me from doing that. And then that gets my day started off right. So when I'm not speaking about business or etiquette and protocol, I'm talking about running and working out.
This is about what people are talking about, this particular question. What is an issue that you think not enough people are talking about as it relates to etiquette?
I think we're not talking enough about the younger population, and we're putting blame. So an article that came out recently was that Gen Z is making mistakes in the workplace and they're uncouth. And we're not talking about the fact that we're just not teaching people. So it's really easy to pinpoint on others and say you're not doing something right. But I think we as a society are not being responsible enough in teaching folks. So let's not talk about what we think the problem is. Let's we talk what the solution is for what our problem is. Our problem is respect in society right now. We're off kilter right now. And when I see things in the news, I think in my mind, I think that's almost always boiling down to respect. We're being disrespectful. We're doing something illegal, unethical, or immoral. And it all boils down to a lack of respect for each other or the system or the situation.
I will add that I remember growing up, there was a sense of respect for your elders and community. And I feel like we have lost it. So the classes you're teaching, I believe, are going to be very beneficial to getting people to get back to civility and understand that we can agree to disagree without being disagreeable. I think that's an art that has been lost.
And I can say to you, if you and I had a discussion and you and I disagreed, I could say to you very nicely and professionally, I completely disagree, but I see your point. I can see it from your perspective. I don't understand that. I don't agree, but it's still respectful. And then you and I can still have that conversation. And if more people did that, wow, we would be in such a better place.
Yes, we would be. Okay. What has been your greatest accomplishment so far since you've opened your business?
The networking and communication across the city of Las Vegas. When I was in the Midwest, and I told you in the beginning, I've lived everywhere. Las Vegas, to me, is that it's the entertainment capital of the world, right? And it seems very intimidating. But as with any city and any location that you're in, people are just people. Now, there's huge business folks and very high-powered people, but also within the Las Vegas community, there's the people. And everybody is human and everybody's working hard. So putting myself out there, I read somewhere the other day, they said the road to success is paved with moments of awkwardness. And I thought, yes, as social as I am, as good as I am with etiquette, it's still hard for any of us to go out and put ourselves out there. But I've made some incredible connections across the community, and it has been an absolute blast. I remember going to some of my first few socials, and you walk in, I think, I don't know a single person here. In the military, you can look and visually see who people are, and but in the civilian world, I don't know who anybody is, but you just have to smile and say, hi, how are you? It's great to meet you. And you can even be honest, I have no idea who anybody is here. Please introduce me, be humble, be respectful, and put yourself out there. So putting yourself out there has been my biggest, I think, accomplishment so far, and it has paid huge dividends.
Okay, now I always have my one fun, silly question. Would you get along well with your clone? Why or why not?
I think I would tell my clone sometimes. Yeah. So yes, I think I would get along with my clone, but I think that she would drive me a little crazy because she needs to stop all the extra ideas. So I go, the road to success too is not one straight line, right? It's all everything from as I team up with a friend of mine that's been helping me with my marketing and things like that. And I said, hang on, girl. I said, because my ideas are going to drive you nuts. I said, on Tuesday, I'm going to be here. 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 I said, but I will get there. I said, that's my process. So my clone would drive me nuts with the new ideas. And I'd say, wait, yesterday, that's not what we talked about. I said, I'm going to do it. But today I'm going to do it.
Okay, that's cool. If you could give one piece of advice to a group of people, you're standing on stage, there's thousands of people there. What is the one piece of advice that you would give them?
Trust your gut.
Trust your gut.
Trust your gut.
That's a good one.
It is the thing that I have learned over the years, that if I had trusted it sooner, I would be in, maybe have not gotten myself in certain positions and certain relationships and things like that. You know it, but all the excitement or those things that surround it tell you otherwise, and you go for it. And at the end of it, you think, I shouldn't have done that. So I mentor quite a few young ladies and also some men, and I say, trust your gut. It's the thing that's going to, when it's that uncomfortable feeling, it's a discomfort feeling. When that happens, step back and think.
Okay. Now I'm going to be sure to put it in the description box, but Desiree, how will people get in touch with you if they wanted to contact you to get your services?
Elevatingetiquette.com is my website. Elevatingetiquette@gmail.com is my email. Those are the best two ways to contact me.
Okay. And I'd like to ask you, Desiree, how is what you're currently doing helping you live your best life now?
I've made some pretty big changes in the past year. I am getting ready to be 50, and those things always change how your perspective is. But I've made a very conscious decision to take everything that I've done so far, learn my lessons, and then try to be the best that I can be. I've walked away from a very big job. I've set some boundaries down with some relationships that were challenging for me. I've said no to a lot more. So those are the things that I've done to help me live my best life. And I tell you, it's hard, but once you start making those first few steps, I feel the best that I feel mentally and physically stronger than I've ever felt, even though I'm still confused and not 100% sure which direction, and my business is kind of changing and altering even as I've started it. I'm not afraid of it. It is an incredible place to be, age-wise, education-wise, experience-wise, that we're still young enough and now you can take a whole different direction. And it is fun. It is exciting.
Well, we're at the point in the show where it's time to tap in. So if you'd like to tap into what Desiree is doing, remember, the first thing you have to do is transform your mindset. You have to begin to believe that proper etiquette is something that you can do. It's all about respect and awareness. Then I want you to announce and get accountability. That means you need to announce to the world that you are going to change your behavior for the positive. Get accountability from Desiree so she can teach you everything you need to do so that you don't make a social faux pas. Next, I want you to prepare. How do you prepare? Go to her website or email her and let her know that you're ready to take the next step in your etiquette journey. Finally, I want you to imagine, actually not finally, next, we want you to imagine what your life would be like when you were able to approach all situations with using the proper etiquette so that you know that you are respecting self and others. Finally, I want you to nurture that thought and make sure that you do everything you can to tap into etiquette the right way. And Desiree is here to show you how you can do that. Desiree, do you have any final thoughts?
Go out there and be kind and be respectful. You know, there's one of the quotes that is from Maya Angelou that I always utilize at the end of my classes, that people will forget what you say, they will forget what you do, but they will never forget how you make them feel. And so that's what etiquette is all about. That's what I hope that I bring to other people, that when they leave my conversation and my circle, that they feel good, they feel confident, and they feel positive.
I love that quote myself. All right. Thank you so much, Desiree, for being here today. And I wish you great success in your new business and all that you do. Remember, the choices you make today will be the reality you live tomorrow. So choose wisely and choose to use great etiquette and follow Desiree to learn how. Be blessed.